that the frame denotes the structure of the treatment, whereas the setting denotes the relationship. The frame is the fixed points of the engagement, the time and the fee, the bare minimum for the analyst or therapist to be present. The patient needs to agree to these fixed points for work to begin. These fixed points of time and money serve as the beginning points of contact for the patient to unconsciously start sharing, evacuating their anxieties and tensions to see if they can be relieved, received, and responded to in ways safe enough to begin to share. Safety is what promotes the psyche beginning to emerge out of the concrete early experience of basic provision. So there is something very important about this structure that needs to remain constant, because it's a matter of basic provision, and it's a matter of your being able to be there. Time and money allows you to be there, to be fully present to the patient. And these pieces are established pretty early on, and yet they can come up over and over again as we can begin to explore. The frame tracks the patient's struggles with the acceptance of external and internal reality. To accept or fight against the many variants of dependent needs with a specific person, recapitulated in the person of the therapist or analyst. The rules of reality also link to the superego in both its presentations, guiding and punishing. The frame serves as one measure of coping with the restrictions of time and space and how the patient functions under these restrictions. The frame then is one lens through which to detect unconscious fantasies about the external realities of space and time and of the emotional facts of internal realities as well. The frame allows the analyst or therapist to represent the treatment itself. That is, the person of the analyst represents the treatment itself. So you're both the person in the room and you become the treatment in the room to begin with. And in Farrow's words, to be north to the patient, a constant and invariant referent. And within that invariance, great emotional variance may begin to take place. Coffee, it's always interfering. So now we'll move to the setting. The setting implies the nature or atmosphere that defines the potential transformative effect of the treatment. The shared space narrates the emotional climate between the therapist and patient and evolves and shifts constantly. Whereas the frame is relatively set and set early on, the setting is the ongoing how and why the two members of the dyad agree to work together in an encounter that is meant to have a useful result. So from this position, what are often called breaks in the frame are really shifts in the setting, changes of mind, direction, of aim, create an atmosphere that needs constant attention and perhaps adjustment in the communication of the therapist. So there are obviously breaks in the frame, and they pretty much have to do with time and money. But a lot of the time, what comes up around that is really more a matter of the setting or how the therapist comes to know the relationship and what it promotes communication between the patient and the analyst. And I think that's a useful distinction. So a patient may decide to come to treatment and then show another perhaps hidden side of themselves by canceling. What has happened? A change of heart? A concrete interference? The frame is useful in determining how the patient begins to treat their own commitment to the process if they have agreed to the terms, and then negate them. Usually it takes time to build up curiosity about what replaced the session. Often just mentioning it is felt as a punishment. the superego entering the treatment. Can you find a way to talk about what happened? Or is it minimized or even cut off? I was late, I missed it, I overslept. Or do you, the therapist, avoid it, feeling it's mean to bring up a missed session or what might be owed? Perhaps you too are not quite up to making sense of the feelings that were generated by a cancellation or a need to pay. Perhaps more evidence is needed to recognize the emotional forces at work in this particular dyad. But what begins to emerge here are the theories of the analyst. And again, I'd like to acknowledge the clear work of Dr. Tabakan on this subject. So I'm going to move into, you've established the frame, and we understand what it means to begin to think of the frame being broken by not showing up or maybe having trouble with paying. But the way that the therapist responds, the way the therapist begins to take in their responses to a situation like this also begins to touch on a theoretical bias, perhaps trope, maybe is a better word, pull, movement on the part of the therapist. And so I'm going to offer a conceptualization of psychoanalytic atmospheres, or the sense of the setting, from the British Object Relations School, which was founded on Freud, developed by Klein, added to by Winnicott and Meltzer, and Meltzer, and both early Bion, relating more to Klein, and later Bion, relating more to Winnicott. So I'm going to start with Freud